So my concern as a small farmer is, a real big concern for me is because I'm small and I'm organic. I don't seem to appear on the government's radar as far as being ensure that I can be profitable in the future, in the next 10 years maybe, as far as for myself. What would you be able to do for a little guy like me in the farming industry?
Well, basically, I think it goes right to a point that I've been talking about a lot, which is the government has to begin to encourage Alberta farming first as a real choice in this province, because it doesn't make Alberta farms a choice. And that's why a lot of small farmers, I call them real Alberta farmers, not the mechanized industrial process farmers like yourself, are not really getting into the system. It's because government is encouraging that as a real viable choice for Albertans. But it needs to be the first choice for Albertans, because that's the healthiest food. The food that's grown here, that we know where it's coming from, it's part of Alberta, it's real Alberta farmers that you can go to the farm, you can see what they're doing, you can see the processes that they're using. They're not owned by some big, large multinational. This is real farming, and at one point in time, this was the bedrock of this province. You know? And again, I think, quite frankly, when the government begins to make it a priority and begins to encourage it as a choice to put Alberta first on the plate, we also erase a lot of the rural-urban divide. You're here, it's in the city, it's in Calgary, and a lot of Calgarians, a lot of Edmontonians, people that live in urban areas, want to know where their food is coming from. And they want to know that it's grown in Alberta. They want to know that they can sit and talk to the farmer like yourself. And so that's why I believe that government has to begin to make that a first priority, to get real Alberta food first on the plate.
I would like to tap into the 100-mile diet, which is, and I'm positioned right to do it, but it's really hard for me to access enough funds for infrastructure for me to fill this need.
Right.
That's my problem.
Well, and also because the government has centralized food distribution in the province, and that has to change too. Exactly. We had to get to the point where we're distributing food regionally to Albertans, so that you can tap into that 100-mile limit. Now, of course, you'll want to get your product maybe to some other markets in Alberta that are beyond 100 miles. But if we begin to start there, because the food distribution system doesn't eliminate your smaller farm from that, because you can't compete with that large centralized process. If you can tap into that and get your food out to 100, now your farm starts producing more produce. Once you're starting to produce more produce, obviously you become more profitable, and you can take a look at some of your operating costs and begin to, trim that to a point where you're making more profit on your farm. But as long as everything's in a couple of big warehouses and you have to get all your produce there, you're never going to succeed, because the cost of you getting your product transported to that centralized process,
I don't fit that system.
Of course not. And it's not worth it to you to do it. So that's why I say we have to make the choices. Can't necessarily mandate things, but we have to make it a choice. And when we make it a choice, and when we take out centralized processing, I think we get to the point where Albertans can start eating real Alberta food again.
Excellent.